Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, Star Priestess and Visionary Writing Guide, and welcome to Tarot and Astrology for Visionary Writers for this Gemini new moon in June 2024. We have so much Gemini energy in our charts at the moment that I really feel like this is preparing us for Uranus entering into Gemini in 2025 until 2033. So we're going to have almost 10 years of Uranus in Gemini, and we've got big Gemini energies now preparing us for that time, especially as visionary writers and creatives. Uranus is the sign of the visionary, the planet of the visionary, the energy of the visionary. Today on Monday, 3rd of June, we have Mercury entering the sign of Gemini. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. Mercury is our communication. Mercury, I spoke about a lot on my last video, is the energy of the weaver between worlds, the communicator, the one who enters into the underworld and also shares the messages from the gods to the people, down to the underworld, back out again. Mercury is the weaver between worlds. Mercury is the one who weaves words between worlds to create communication, understanding, messages. Mercury is the lower octave of the lower expression of Uranus. Uranus is the higher expression, cosmic understanding, cosmic vision, cosmic communication. And when Uranus enters Gemini in 2025, our visionary writing and communication capacities are really going to be expanding. We're bringing on more capacity to open up our sense receptors, our capacity to communicate, our capacity to receive and share information in multiple different ways, on multiple different timelines, multiple different dimensions. This is especially powerfully going to be coming through for us with Uranus in Gemini. But we have right now, this week, 5 astrological bodies in the sign of Gemini that are preparing us for this opening of the senses and our expanding our capacity to communicate on a cosmic level. That is between ourselves and the cosmos, and relaying, channeling those messages to share them with others here on this earth, here on this plane. One thing that I'm feeling very strongly is an opening of connection and communication between our past, present, and future selves. We might call them ancestors. We might have a sense of past lives, of future selves calling us, a higher self vision and purpose calling us forward. I really want to invite us all to, during this time of strong and high Gemini energies, to really open and expand, to lengthen, deepen our sense of self, our sense of what it means to be this incarnation and the longer story of our soul's journeys, and broader as well and deeper. Perhaps we have not always been human people. Perhaps we will not always be human people. Perhaps our souls have the capacity to transcend not only gender and identity through incarnations and lifetimes, but also different expressions of self in this physical world. One thing that I feel is opening up very strongly for me personally, and something that I am also preparing to teach at a bigger level. It's something that I spent many years diving deep into for my PhD research, but opening up that capacity to, in our writing and in our visionary writing, creativity and communication, to open our capacity to speak with, to speak alongside, rather than what we have been taught to do through the language that we've been passed down through our culture and community, which has been to try to speak for or speak about. I'm just going to back up a minute because I've just filled the room with incense vapors and I've had to open a window to just let some of that pass through. I would say to give me clarity, but only in the visual sense, because the incense, of course, is for that clarity of channeled and receptive and intuitive communication that I have been working with very, very deeply, especially as we go into this Gemini dark moon. So we have a lot going on this week. We have the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, 5 astrological bodies in the sign of Gemini this week. Now, some of those are going to move through really quickly. Moon's going to move through in a few days. Mercury and Venus are going to move through in a few weeks. The Sun will be passing through the sign of Gemini and out into the sign of Cancer by the end of the month. Jupiter's going to be there for a year, preparing us for the entry of Uranus into Gemini. So right now, this week, we have some really significant energies in the sign of Gemini, opening us up, opening our intuitive and receptive communication channels even more, opening, clearing, healing, cleansing our throat chakras so that we can receive through our crown and our third eye and communicate through the heart and the throat. We also really want to be aware of opening up our root to receive wisdom from the earth below as well. As I mentioned earlier, I'm really motivated at the moment to be thinking about our past, present, and future selves, how we are in communion and connection with the earth, the body of the earth, those ancestors who came before, and those ancestors who are calling us forward. Those other than human selves who we have been and who we may become, as well as the human lives that we have incarnated and inhabited. There is so much that we are opening to now as our timelines, I want to say coalesce, our timelines begin to merge. And I'm feeling a much stronger sense of this powerful time of transition in between the selves I have been, the selves I may become, the ancestors of our past, present, and future, and those other than human beings that we are always in communion with. Something that is strong for me at the moment as we move towards this Gemini dark moon and the Gemini new moon is my dreams are becoming more deeper, clearer, more open channels of communication. I'm often receiving messages, communications, intuitions, downloads, especially on waking and especially in the early hours of the night. There have been, since my last video, I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks, reading a lot. I've been taking in a lot, really working with words, working with books that have changed, transformed, and opened up my consciousness in new ways. So specifically, I've been listening to a whole set of books by Clark Strand and Perdita Finn, Take Back the Magic by Perdita Finn, about communicating with our ancestors. The Way of the Rose by Clark Strand and Perdita Finn on praying the rosary in a way that opens up the sense of what that means and the sense of identity of who the Christians have called Mother Mary, to open up and to find the resonance with the Great Mother that has been continuous from pre-Christian times to now, to see in her symbolism the symbolism of the Great Mother, the cloak of stars, the crown of the cosmos, or the cloak of the cosmos, the crown of stars, and the ever-birthing womb of life. That has inspired me to take out my mala, my Tibetan prayer beads that I've had for 18 years since I visited Dharamsala, the Tibetan settlement where the Dalai Lama lives in the Himalayas in India, and to begin praying again and to begin to find my own voice, my own words for those prayers. I'm not drawn to pray the Catholic rosary, but I have been drawn to discover the words and the prayers that are resonant with me. And that's evolving as I move with that practice, initially going back to my Tibetan mantras on Mani Padme Hum, you're the jewel in the lotus, moving then into the yogic mantras that I'm familiar with from Bhakti, from Kirtan, from the chanting and singing, specifically working a lot with the very, very simple prayer, Jai Ma, because what I realized from listening to the books I've been listening to was that those two words, Hail Mary, Ave Maria, Jai Ma, the same meaning, Hail Mother. And so a simple two-word prayer that I've been repeating over and over with my prayer beads has become profoundly powerful for opening up a connection to an energy, a mother goddess that I had not fully, I was going to say comprehended, I cannot fully comprehend, but that I had not fully connected with before. This has been a powerful practice to come back to prayer. And at the end of today's session, today's video, I also want to talk about prayers that I have been writing and discovering. Also, these are all really strong Gemini themes: prayer, communication, writing, reading, discovering, learning, researching, becoming fascinated with something new, especially in my case when that relates to language, communication, the power and the magic of words. I think one thing that coming back to prayer has really reminded me of is the power and the magic of words that we tend to forget. Even myself, even as visionary writers and creatives, we have been conditioned to use language in a way that has become egocentric, competitive, linear, functional. And it's been easy to forget that words are prayer. Words have so much power and magic to create and shape the world that we live in, the world that we perceive, the world that we participate in and co-create, not only through our actions, but through our words, through our voices, through our writing. Gemini, this strong Gemini energy is really powerfully reconnecting us with that magic. We have got Mercury entering into the sign of Gemini today, Mercury the magician, Mercury the alchemist. And as each of these astrological bodies enters into the sign of Gemini, they will be trining with Pluto in Aquarius, deepening the alchemy, deepening that sense of self-discovery. And as they leave the sign, they will be squaring with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. We have this magic, this strong magical potency with all of these planets in Gemini right now, opening up our channels of communication, opening up the blue diamond at our throat chakras to channel and receive and communicate and express and to speak words with power and to reconnect with words that have power, words that have ancient wisdom and primordial power, that speak with the rocks and the rivers and the trees and the wind. We have So we have Mercury entering Gemini today, the magician into the sign of communication, trining with Pluto tomorrow on Tuesday, the 4th of August, making that powerful magic. The potential for alchemy is strong as Mercury trines Pluto. Mercury in Gemini trining Pluto in Aquarius. The potential for alchemy through our communication is strong. Also tomorrow, Tuesday, the 4th of Gemini, we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. So after it trines Pluto, it moves through to conjunct Jupiter. So again, expanding our creative and alchemical potential through communication, through our voices. And we have what's called a full Venus. We have Venus conjunct the Sun in Gemini, moving direct. That is a full Venus. That is a Venus that is bringing illumination to the communication projects that we started in June 2020. How are we learning to communicate now that we sowed the seeds for in 2020, and we can continue to alchemize and evolve and grow with and grow through for the next 4 years? We have then on Thursday, the 6th of June, the Gemini new moon. So Sun conjunct Moon at 16 degrees. There's a lot happening in these middle degrees of Gemini. We've got Sun conjunct the Moon at 16 degrees of Gemini on Thursday, the 6th of, we've got Thursday, the 6th of June. That same day, Moon is conjunct Venus as well. So it's really moving through fast, but we're getting these energies coming together. We're getting this deep transformational alchemy happening in the sign of Gemini. Now, we know as visionary writers and creatives that that is our throat chakra, that is our communication, that is our capacity to open and expand to cosmic communication, to interspecies communication, to working with those ancestors of past, present, and future that we are in constant connection and communication with. It's about opening up our intuition and our throat chakras, our hearts, to receive wisdom from beyond ourselves and to alchemize that in ways that we can become a conduit to communicate and transmit that to others through our visionary writing and creative practice. One thing that I've been doing, another book that has strongly influenced me, or a couple of books that have strongly influenced me in these past few days, has been Carolyn Hillier's work. So the Weaver's Oracle, I drew a card, and the ancestor that came through has been working with me to create these prayers that have been coming through that I've been working with. And where have the prayers come from? They've come from Carolyn Hillier's book, her work, Her Bone Bundle. I've mentioned this book before, probably about this time last year when I first got it. Carolyn Hillier working ritually and ceremonially to bring back to life the ancient mother language of the Bronze Age people across Central, Northern, and Western Europe. So that those languages, that language and that ritual weaving of words that the mothers on this land where I live would have spoken in their rituals and prayers and practices. This is profound. And I've had the book for a year, and it's become time for me at this moment to pick it up and really work with it. I began creating a prayer from those words, from that language that Carolyn Hillier has recreated through ritual and ceremony and brought back to life. I'm very aware that I live just outside of Glastonbury, the sacred Isle of Avalon in the southwest of England, the south of Somerset, the land of the summer people. And that this language was spoken on this land 4,000 years ago by my ancient mothers in ritual, ceremony, and practice. And when I have brought words together into this prayer that I've constructed from Carolyn Hillier's work with the language, the sound and the feel of those words as I speak them is profoundly different from my work with the English language. I'm going to share that prayer with you at the end of the video today. And I hope that you will feel for yourself the magic and the power in those words and their capacity to draw in the elements and the earth and the cosmos in their field, in their weave, in their frequency, their vibration. It's a strong reminder for me of the power of words, as I said earlier, about prayer and going back to those ancient languages, those ancient lineages, those ancient tongues, and calling ourselves forward, connecting with our future selves, our future ancestors, those we are yet to become, those who are calling us now to make the transitions, the transformations, the changes, the healing, the alchemy that we are here to make in ourselves through our own bodies, through our work in the world, through our throats, our voices, our words, our writing, and our visionary and creative practice, to become the ones that we are waiting for and walking towards, who also are walking towards us. And I sense this in a very non-linear, multi-dimensional way. This is as much about the ancient ancestors as it is about our future selves, our future ancestors, who we have been, who we are, and who we are becoming as one process of alchemy and healing and transformation and evolution that we spin in our bodies and in our hearts and in our words, through our energy, through our frequency, through our vibration, through our love, through our healing, and through who we are here to be and become. So I'll draw us a tarot card for this week and this strong Gemini energy. And then I will close today's video with the prayer. Okay, so we have the world. Okay, the world. The final card in the major arcana. Really, to me, this is speaking of transformation. I see her wearing a kind of like a scarf that's wrapped around her, but it looks like a serpent also. There's in the four corners, there are the symbols of the four apostles. But what does that say to me? That says gospel. That says transformation through words, transformation through storytelling. We are reaching a point of certainly no return, a point of new beginnings, a new earth that we are co-creating, calling in, becoming one with in our bodies, our hearts, our souls, through our words and our creative visions and our weaving. With a major arcana card that has come out right way up, really there is no stopping this force of evolution and transformation that we are. I just keep getting this sense that we are building it through our bodies, like Grandmother Spider, like Spider-Woman. We weave the web through our words, and we build the new world through our words, our bodies, our thoughts, our actions, and our hearts. We become the new earth. What I've been reading and hearing and listening to around ancestors, ancient ancestors, they become the earth that we live from, that we feed on, and we become the earth for our future ancestors in so many ways that we are yet to understand and perhaps never will. We are the earth, and the earth is transforming itself through us, through our bodies, our words, our wisdom, through our capacity to open and receive and listen, through our capacity to be this conduit between the ancient ones and the future ones that we are and that we have been and that we will become, to open our capacity to hold a bigger and wider and deeper and longer vision of what it is to be a person on this earth. A tree person, a rock person, a river person, a human person, a bear person, a multidimensional person. So much that we have been taught and taken for granted is falling away. And like Grandmother Spider, we are weaving the new world through our words, from our bodies. And the transformation, the alchemy, is happening within us as we participate in it, as we participate in the evolution that we are and that we are creating. So I want to share with you the prayer. This is brand new. This is the first in this lifetime. This is the first prayer I've written in Bronze Age language, Bronze Age mother language, obviously in this lifetime that I'm aware of. The words and the wisdom have come from Carolyn Hillier's book, Her Bone Bundle, which I strongly recommend if you feel drawn to work with any of these practices, or to whatever way it draws you. That's the book, Her Bone Bundle. There's just such profound wisdom and richness and depth and ritual in what Carolyn has brought together in that book. Not only the words, but the ceremonial and ritual way in which she has reawoken these words, and the stories that she tells and weaves within the book itself. I think one thing that inspired me early was that the very first word in this dictionary that she calls 3,000 ancestral voices. I mentioned earlier that I'm living just outside Glastonbury. I feel very connected to the sacred land of Avalon, and I'm doing my Star Priestess training at the Glastonbury Goddess Temple, very much connected to the Lady of Avalon. I feel drawn to do the Priestess of Avalon training there. I feel drawn to also create my own priestess training to hold on the sacred land there at Avalon and in other parts of particularly the southwest of England. So Avalon has been a very strong part of my embodied practice and embodied prayer recently. In fact, when I was looking for a prayer to say with my beads, one of the prayers that came to me through my discovery early was the Lady's Prayer, the Lady of Avalon's prayer. And I've been saying that prayer daily, which has been profoundly transformative. That's a prayer written by Kathy Jones. She received it just beside the Chalice Well in Glastonbury itself. Kathy Jones, again, another priestess whose books have been extremely influential to me, especially recently. So Kathy's books on Avalon and the goddess, the Lady of Avalon. And the prayer, the ladies' prayer that I've been reciting several times a day. And looking in Carolyn's book, the very first word of the 3,000 ancestral voices is Abalo, and it means apple orchard. And to me, there is a strong and direct connection with Avalon. Abalo, Avalon. Avalon is the Isle of Apples. It is the apple orchard. She is the lady of the apple orchard. So Abalo, Avalon. Also, I see Abon, meaning river. And we have running just past the around Avebury, and again, Avebury. We have the River Avon, and we have the Avon and Kennet Canal, and we have the West Kennet Long Barrow. There are so many words with deep ancestral connections here that I've been searching for the roots of as I've been walking the land. And here they are in this beautiful book curated by Carolyn Hillier. So Abalo, apple orchard, Abon, river. And just to finish with the West Kennet Long Barrow, Kenetlo. Let me just find it. Kenetlo means kindred, kin, or clan. The place where the ancestors, the kin, are buried. So I took my words from here, and this process came a lot more quickly and easily than I realized or expected that it would. But this is a prayer to the grandmothers, the ancestors, the shamankas of this land. It's a prayer to the Lady of Avalon with her 9 Morgans that are ravens. And an invocation to hear our prayer, to hear our poem said as prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes as you just allow these words to move through you. Noibo Nani, Noibo Matirja, Noibo Switla, Noibo Fanon Avalo, Nawan Kaja Waiko, Klinoan Molyeyo, Klinoan Dauna, Noibo Nani, Noibo Matirja, Noibo Switla, Noibo Fanon Avalo, Nawan Kaja Waiko, Klinoan Molyeyo, Klinoan Dona, Noibo Nani, Noibo Matirja, Noibo Switla, Noibo Fanon Avalo, Nawan Kaja Waiko, Klinoan Molyeyo, Klinoan Dona. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. Slightly longer episode, more to share. I hope you found this rich and nourishing. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. I have a couple of books coming out soon. My book, Writing and Thriving for Visionary Writers, will be out on the 21st of June. I'll be sure to tell you more about that as it becomes available. And you can look into the comments below for ways to connect with me. But for now, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your presence, your openness, your wisdom, your intuition, your willingness to do the alchemy of the body, throat, and heart as we collectively participate in the coming world that we are creating. Sending you love, and I'll see you next time.